did one other thing that was important that night in Harlan. We shot a promo because since Tom obviously is Bruce Prichard's brother, and we brought Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey in as his cousin, and Tom's father at the same time happened to be visiting that weekend and was staying with Tom, and he rode up to the TV taping in Harlan with him. We thought, I just made the joke. I said, we got all the Prichard family here except for Bruce. And I said, let's do a promo. So we did a promo backstage with, it might have been Bob Caudle, whoever it was announcing at the time. And we did the promo with me introducing Gigolo Jimmy, Tom's cousin. There's Tom's father. And I'm saying how great the Prichard family is, how they're dominating professional wrestling. And the announcer says, something like, is there any, he interviews Tom's father and says, is there any other members of the Prichard family involved in wrestling? And Tom's father says something like, oh, just one. He's with that phony stuff up in New York, so we don't even speak to him anymore. and we're just fucking knocking that side of Bruce's side of the family, right? His branch. And finally, we wrap it up. So I call Bruce, because we've known each other since the early 80s. So, it wasn't odd for us to talk anyway. I call Bruce and I tell him, hey, your dad was in town, visiting Tom. And we had him do a promo for the TV show. And I'm going to send you a copy on VHS. Oh, yeah, I'd love to see that, blah, blah, blah. So I sent it in the mail, didn't think any more about it. And a week later, so it's a couple weeks after the TV. No, as a matter of fact, it was longer than that. It was because we didn't start till the end of July. So it was actually somewhere about 6 weeks after that he didn't even watch his own father's tape, I guess, right? But anyway, he had called me and said, hey, very funny motherfucker. I'm like, oh, okay. He said, I said, you watched the tape? He said, yeah, and I wasn't alone either, blah, blah, blah. But how would you and the Bodies like to make some shots up here? That's when that question was asked. And we put together the deal that we would appear on the WWF television as they would acknowledge Smoky Mountain Wrestling and that we were part of it. And that we would make TVs only, didn't have to make the house shows leading up to SummerSlam and work a deal with the Steiners. And I'm like, okay, wow, great idea they had. And now that I looked at it in hindsight, when we first got there, which I'm getting ahead of the story, but when we first got up there, that's when I realized that also they needed an American spokesperson for Yokozuna, because they didn't ask me that, as I've told the story before, until me and the Bodies got there to Raw that day. And so, but then it sort of made sense. But I think the catalyst, obviously, for putting us in somebody's mind was whoever Bruce watched that tape with and said, okay, we need a tag team to work with the Steiners, and we need somebody to talk for Yokozuna, because we all love Fuji, but it wasn't happening. So anyway, that is what we did in Harlan that night. So